All right, what I want to do here is show you some details about the site plan and how to get started on that. I won't have a completed site plan, but at least it'll get you going on this. So the first thing I did was the other day I showed you how to do the elevations, and here's my floor plan right above the elevations that I used. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to turn everything on that I need, which includes my roof plan, roof design, and the overhang that I put in there. I'll tell you about that in a second. And that should just be about everything that I need for right now to do the site plan. So what I did on the overhang is I did mine as an 18-inch overhang. I made a separate layer for it. So this is the wall line and this is the overhang. You need that. The overhang you need for the site plan. All right, so what I did then was I selected everything here and I did a Control-C and copy, and I just moved it out over here to get started on my site plan. The next thing I'm going to do is turn off the interior walls. I don't need interior walls. And let's see how that's looking. And then I don't necessarily, you can leave the roof design on there if you want, but you don't need to. And what I'm going to do is turn off exterior walls, and get those turned off because I don't need those now. All right, so that's what I end up with. I also can see I got some windows and doors on there. I don't need those right now. And actually I will need the doors future, so I'm going to go ahead and leave the doors on, but the windows I will not need at this point. All right, so turn those off and we should be good. Got a few little things in here, it's no big deal, and got the garage door, which we might need reference on. All right, so that's what I'm going to start off with on my site plan. So the next thing I did is I drew the property line, and I gave you the property line dimensions on the PowerPoint as also in the announcement on email. The announcement went out, and it's also the notification was on email. And so the next thing I did is draw my property lines, which those are center lines. I'm going to turn those on and show you the property lines that I put in. So I went ahead and just did the correct dimensions on the property line and drew that throughout here. Let me got something here I don't need. All right, and got the property lines drawn in, and then I went ahead and placed my house about where I wanted it. Okay, and I'm going to set this a little bit back. But the next thing I have to do is I have to get my utility easements and my building line. Those are the other two requirements before we can actually start placing this in a precise location, placing the house in a precise location. So my UE is next. It's a 5-foot UE. I'm going to turn those on and show you those in a second. And then also my building line. And right there is BL for building line. And show you how those are drawn in and how they are designated. All right, so I now have, let me turn on the text for that so it shows you the text on it as well, so we don't get all confused on that. So now I have my 10-foot building line that's 10 feet from the property. I cannot build anything over that line. My 5-foot UE is where the utility easements run. And what I want to note right now is my building line extends beyond the property line because it goes to the adjacent properties, and it also goes, and that's a mistake, it should not go beyond the front property line. So here we have in the front, the building line comes right up to the property line, but left and right, east and west, it also goes beyond the building line. And then the back side of the building, the property, the building line extends beyond that, and then it will also extend, and I'll show you how to extend that. Select it and just move it out, and then I put the 10-foot to extend it out on both sides of here because it will go into the next property as well. All right, so I have my building line, I have my utility easements all the way around. And what I did after that is I went ahead and did the designation so I don't get mixed up. So I want to show you this. This represents the actual distance of this building line right here is 125 feet. So that's just a text box I put in. It's not dimensions, not extension lines. You can use dimensions, where you'll have to turn off extension lines, dimension lines, and the tick marks, etc. So it's easier to just put a piece of text in there and label it. The UE, the 5-foot UE, goes right in the center of the utility easement. And then the building line just goes just below the building line itself, or down here to the south, it goes right above the building line. So you don't put it in between in any space there. And then east and west, we have the 200-foot designation for the property line and 5-foot utility easement. And then the 10-foot BL goes right below that on that side, and the right above it on the west, on the east side. All right, so that got that started and got that going. So the next thing I do is I position my house to about where I want it. I'm going a little deeper on the property here, kind of balance this out. That's just my preference on this and just the way it happened to work out. I don't encroach on anything. I have plenty of room on both sides. I have room for my drive if it's a direct access like this. And so the next thing I went ahead and did is I put the square footage in of the house itself. I finished off the roof design on that and got that going, so I'm going to leave that on there. Here's how you designate the house. I went ahead and measured area on the house. You can use that function right there to marry with the, you have to have the wall lines on, the exterior wall lines on to measure the house area, and then the garage area is separate. So that doesn't figure into this, the square footage. So this one happened to run at 2,050 and the garage at 555. All right, so I got the designators in there, and then I'm ready to start putting in some details on here. I got my property lines and everything in there. So the next thing I'm going to look at is I'm going to put my concrete driveways in. So I have a layer that I call concrete outline. I'm going to go ahead and turn that on now. I use a polyline on these because, as we mentioned before, the best hatching situation is with a polyline. So what I did is I went ahead and put a driveway in here, which is the width of this. And now that I'm looking at it, actually, I like a little bit wider driveway. So I probably would move this line over in the redesign of this, move this outside to maybe the to the eave line. So this is my eave line here, my overhang. And so I probably would move that out. Just happened to notice that. I like a little bit wider on that. And then the next thing I did is I went ahead and made a walkway from the drive area and made it up to here. If I want to have company parking in the driveway, they can have access this way. And then also I have a main walkway. If there's any street parking, I have a main walkway that I put a sidewalk in through here using a spline polyline, and that goes right up to the doorway. So I have my concrete started in here, but you go ahead and do all your concrete work next. And then I went ahead and hatched this just to let you see what it looks like. And my concrete hatch is right here. Turn that on. And these are all separate hatches now. If you take a look at this, that's one hatch there. I backed out of it and hit Control S. There's another hatch. There's another one, and I think the driveway is 2. Yep, there's one, and there's a second one. So those are all individual block hatches in case I have to modify anything. And now on these colors here, I'm not recommending these colors for white paper because they're going to really pop off of there on some of these. The hatching, it might be a little bit light. We'll see when we get over to paper space. So that's how you get started on your site plan. Of course, I have landscaping to put in, borders and trees, and all that stuff is required. I'll put some hatching in for the grass area, showing all of that as well. A word to the wise, turn off the PL, the utility easement, and if you're going to do the grass hatching area, turn that all off except for the building line, and then run a polyline, a separate polyline on top of the property line, and that way you'll be able to hatch specific areas. Now on this hatching, back to this hatching, you can see I did this separately. There's not a line here anymore where I separated this hatch point. I took that line out after I was done hatching. And the same on this one here. I broke this into different sections just because it would not hatch correctly. Anytime I do the hatch and I hover and it's not giving me a preview, I go ahead and start breaking it into separate sections. And I went ahead and turned off the utility easement and the building line so this hatch would not get confused in trying to cross those lines. And here again, this sidewalk I broke into, this is a pretty long run, but it worked out. I broke this into two separate pieces. All right. So there we have that. We have a north arrow in there. And the next video I'm going to show you is the paper space on this and how to get that secondary viewport for your vicinity map cut into your paper space. All right, so like I said, this is just a start. This is not completed. We still got some trees, landscaping, hatching to put in here, some designators. Just go through your list of requirements, customer criteria list, see what is needed. But definitely you want the overhang. That is the footprint of your house, not the interior wall. It's the overhang that goes all the way around. All right, hopefully that helps you out. And then I'll do another video that will be part 2 of site plan for vicinity maps. And I'll have that posted as well in just a little bit. Thanks for listening.